Hello, how you doing? How's everything? I hope you've been good. So we are here today again. We're going to be discussing an important aspect of Jamb Utme use of English language. English is a general subject. Every student writing Jamb Utme will be writing English, will be doing English, use of English. And one of the fundamental questions in the use of English language is comprehension passage questions. We have two types of comprehension passage for Jamb Utme. We have the open comprehension passage and we have the closed comprehension passage. The open comprehension passage is the one that has an excerpt, a comprehension passage, and it is followed by a number of questions, average of 5 questions or thereabouts. And the closed comprehension passage is the one that is based on register. That is, you are meant to fill in the gap. You are meant to fill in the gap that make up the comprehension passage. But in today's discussion, I will be focusing more on open comprehension passage. How will you be able to demystify the open comprehension passage? How will you be able to answer questions on open comprehension passage? I'm going to be answering a particular year question so that you'll be able to understand better through practice and example. And I'll be, in the course of doing it, I'll be making references to some strategies, to some tips that you need to know before you are able to seamlessly demystify a comprehension passage. But before we discuss that, I need to remind you of our marathon class. DEE Tutors is organizing a 50-hour marathon intensive Jamb Utme classes. Starting on the 28th of April this month till 5th of May 2022. If you are writing Jamb Utme this year, don't miss it for anything. Don't miss it for anything. Irrespective of wherever you are, we have students joining us all the way from Port Harcourt, all the way from Ilorin. We are in Lagos here, not too far from University of Lagos, in Yaba, Akoka. You can join us on Zoom, you can join us on Google Meet. You have experiences of live classes. You can ask questions like as if you're in class. All you just need is internet connection and you pay for the program. You're going to be part of the program. It's a seamless experience. Even you are affected by your internet connection, we make sure that we have the recorded session of the classes. Now, let's get back to what we are to discuss today. That is the open comprehension passage. How do you solve the open comprehension passage? Before I discuss that, you need to understand what is comprehension. Comprehension simply means to understand. When we say comprehension passage, it is a passage you are meant to read and understand. Comprehension is the ability to read, understand, and interpret a comprehension passage. You should be able to interpret it, understand it, ability to answer the questions that are given based on that comprehension passage. And before you attempt any comprehension passage question, you need to understand the basic of comprehension. Every comprehension passage is a product of letters coming together to form words, words coming together to form phrases, phrases coming together to form clauses, clauses coming together to form sentences. And we have sentences coming together to form paragraphs. Paragraphs then come together to form what? Passages. Now, I'm not interested in teaching you letters. I believe you already know the 26 letters of the English language alphabet. You already know words, the word classes, starting from noun, pronoun, adjective, among others. And I assume you should be able to know what we refer to as a phrase. It's a group of words without a finite verb. A finite verb is a verb that is limited by person of the subject, number of the subject, tense of the verb, and probably the gender of the subject too sometimes. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words we have it that it has a subject and a predicate. So I believe those are the basics. You need to understand that. And a paragraph is more important for you to understand the concept of paragraph. Every paragraph is made up of a topic sentence. A topic sentence is the most important sentence in a paragraph. After the topic sentence is the topic sentence that tells us what the paragraph is all about. We have the supporting sentences. The supporting sentences may be for explanation, justification, classification, exemplification, among others. And we have the concluding sentence. It's the sentence that summarizes what the paragraph is all about. That is the concept I want you to have in your mind. That is the formalism, the structural format of a comprehension passage. Or if you understand a paragraph, even some of your comprehension passage they give you an exam is usually a paragraph, because it's not usually too long for you to be able to read within a short period of time to provide the answer to it. As I'm saying, I will be making use of 2021 comprehension passage. I'll be discussing it with you. We read it together, we answer the questions together. Now, this is the comprehension passage. Let me quickly run through the comprehension passage. And before I discuss that, we have two skills that are important when we are talking about comprehension passage. Two skills that are what? That are important when we are talking about what? Trying to understand, demystifying a comprehension passage. Number one is skimming. Skimming is the ability to read a comprehension passage strategically. You know, I told you about topic sentence. Topic sentence is the most important sentence in a paragraph. So if you want to have an idea of what a paragraph is all about, you look at the topic sentence. You don't need to look at the supporting sentences. Look at the topic sentence of each paragraph for you to have an idea, a general overview of the comprehension passage. Then you move to see the questions. Like, okay, when you read the questions, it gives you direction. What is expected of you? When you read a question, it gives you what is expected of you. Now, from the question, you then go and scan for the answer to the question. So I'm going to be using the two methods with you guys, scanning and skimming, in solving this particular comprehension passage of 2021, the first 5 questions. Now let's get to it. Now let's quickly run through the question. The first question is a suitable title for the passage. Question that borders on a suitable title for the passage. You need to know the main idea of that passage for you to get the answer to that question. Number 2, the second question is according to the passage, the worst stage of fatigue is dash. So which means it gives you an idea that in the passage there's a discussion on different stages of of fatigue. So when you are skimming the passage, you have an idea of what is expected of you, and you can scan out the answer. And the third question is, it can be inferred from the passage that inferential question is an implied question, is a deduction question. That is, the answer is not stated in the passage, but it could be suggested from what is stated in the passage. What is the implication of the message or the content of the comprehension passage? That is what the inferential question borders on. You don't have it stated directly in the passage, but from what is stated in the passage, you can infer. It can give you an idea. It can suggest. That is what we refer to as connotation, associated meaning. And the fourth question is, it is advisable that one should rest once. Now, you have to look for it in the passage. Look at it. That question is also an inferential question. Are you getting me? And we also have another question in the passage, which is the fifth question. Definite limitation used to describe the human body in the passage means this. This is what we refer to as, you get an expression from the passage and you find the meaning. you consider the contextual usage of that expression. You consider the environment of usage of that words in that comprehension for you to be able to provide the right answer. Now let's get into it together. Now the first question is a suitable title for the passage. What is this passage is all about? Now the first part is said that read the passage below and answer the questions that follow. Everyone is tired or fatigued at some time. The major cycle in your life is work, fatigue, and rest in that order. Fatigue is characteristic of the body. Now, we've read 3 sentences, and one word is constant there. Fatigue, fatigue, fatigue. They are talking about it. Now, the 4th sentence, it does not occur in a man-made machine which operates as long as its parts are intact and it has 4. Which means that it in the following sentence is also referring to the same fatigue. But your body, a living machine, has a definite limitation. Its work continues. It gradually loses its responsiveness. Now, you should know what this passage is all about by now, without wasting much of your time. Assuming you're giving paragraphs, several paragraphs in the passage, you should know in the introductory paragraph, you're going to get the thesis statement. That's the statement of purpose. Now, a suitable title for the passage is that A, knowing fatigue. Is it about knowing fatigue? Because I cannot see where he's talking about knowing fatigue here. Fatigue itself, probably. C, tiredness and fatigue. Tiredness and fatigue, you should know, as used in the passage, it is used as a synonym. It said that everyone is tired or fatigued at some point. So it is, you can't say tiredness and fatigue. It's still the same thing. And we have body and machine. So option D cannot be the answer. It's not talking about body machine. It's not talking about knowing fatigue. The answer is between B and C. But the better answer between B and C is fatigue, because fatigue explains both tiredness and fatigue. And fatigue is specifically mentioned in the passage for more than 2 or 3 or 4. In the first 3 or 4 sentences, we are talking about fatigue. So that is a suitable title for the passage. We are talking about what? Fatigue. So you get the suitable title for the passage from the main idea of the passage. I hope that is understood. We're having a marathon class. And our marathon class is starting on the 28th of April till 5th of May 2022. You can join a marathon class. You can book it. It's just for a chicken feed of 10,000 naira. No amount is too much for your knowledge. Ignorance is a disease when it's going to affect your destiny, your career. So don't miss out on our marathon class. Now, that's the first question. We've been able to answer it together. We have the second question. According to the passage, the what stage of fatigue is this? This is direct factual question. That is, the answer to the question is in the passage. It's stated in the passage, but it may be stated in a way that you may not easily get it. It said that every task can eventually result in fatigue. Only difficult lessons lead to fatigue. A laborer must work all day before experiencing fatigue. Rest is needed only when you experience fatigue. Now, let's look at the introductory sentences of the comprehension passage, especially the second one. The major cycle in your life is work, fatigue, and what? And rest in that order. Which means that when you work, you are meant to what? To feel tired, which is fatigue, is natural. And the third one is for you to go and rest. So now what does that mean? And he said that the major cycle in your life, everyone is tired or fatigued at some point or at some time. And we are also made to understand in the later part of the passage here that first, he said that the feeling of fatigue usually expresses itself in 3 ways. And that 3 ways will represent 3 stages. The first one is there is a feeling of tiredness and a marked desire for rest. Second, efficiency is greatly reduced. You will not be efficient. Third, there may be definite physiological changes in your body. Low blood pressure, loss of muscle tone, tremors, and poor muscular coordination. And in other ways, fatigue, however, may express itself in many ways. Now, the last stage is meant to be the highest stage of fatigue. And let's look at the options here. It said that the passage, the worst stage of fatigue is feeling of tiredness. No, you first feel tired. Poor muscular coordination, yes. That is the last stage. Reduce efficiency. When you feel tired, there is going to be reduction in efficiency. Option D, desire for rest. When you're feeling tired, you have a desire for rest. So A and D are like the same and they can't be the answer. That's the first stage of what? Of fatigue. The second stage is the reduction in efficiency, and the last stage is poor muscular coordination. When there is poor muscular coordination, that is the worst stage, and that is the third stage. The right answer is what? Poor muscular coordination. I hope you understand it the way going about getting answer to this, to the questions here. Now the third one is that it can be inferred from the passage that every task can eventually result in fatigue. Only difficult lessons lead to fatigue. A laborer must work all day before expressing fatigue. The rest is needed only when you experience fatigue. Every task can eventually result in fatigue. That is the answer, because everyone is tired of fatigue at some point or some time. The major cycle in your life is work, fatigue, and rest in that order, which means work is the one that leads to fatigue. Every work, not just a particular work. The answer is option A. That is number 3 is option A. Every task can eventually has the ability to lead to what? To fatigue. And the last, the fourth question here is it is advisable that one should rest once. It is advisable that one should rest what? Once. Now, there is a feeling of tiredness. There is no longer interest in the task. There is onset of physiological changes in the body. The task becomes difficult. So, reading the passage, you can easily deduce that it's talking about the different stages of what? Of fatigue, in the sense of how you get tired after working. Now, which means it is advisable immediately you feel tired, you go and rest. You understand it? You go and rest. So it is advisable one should rest immediately you feel tiredness. So option C will look like as if it's the right answer. No, that is the worst stage of what? That is the third stage of getting tired, which is when you experience some physiological changes in the body. I hope that is clear. And the last question to be discussed, I don't want to waste too much of your time, is definite limitation used to describe the human body in the passage means that when we say definite limitation, that could be found in the we have this but your body, a living machine, has a definite limitation, not just like a machine that is its work continue, it gradually loses its responsiveness, becomes less irritable, turns out less work, and finally may not respond at all, which means your body has limitation, can easily break down. The body cannot be made to work continuously like a machine. The body should only perform simple tasks. No. The body parts must be limited. No. The body is equal to man-made machine. No. The right answer is that the body cannot be made to work continuously like a machine. I hope you've understood how I'm able to come about the answers to the comprehension passage questions. These are simple ways of coming up with answers. I just don't want to discuss theories, step principles. I want to be practical. That is why I'm able to bring a comprehension passage and I discuss it with you, and I go through the questions and we are able to solve it together. Is that not actually wonderful? So it's actually fun being with you guys again today. Remember, we're having our marathon class starting on the 28th of April till 5th of May. You can join us on Zoom, that is online, or on Google Meet. You can join us from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. Jamb Utme is written even outside the country. So you don't miss this marathon class or anything. It's going to change your life. We have experts that have been teaching Jamb Utme for over a decade. They will be coming to demystify possible exam questions. And if possible, we're able to discuss what you're going to see in the exams. Don't be baffled. But we are going to teach you well when it comes to results-oriented teaching. DEE Tutors is known for that. And also, we are going to be having CBT practice and training. We're going to be training you on how to use a computer-based test. We are going to be exhausting some past questions. There's going to be a group study of students that are doing the same subjects. So students tend to learn more. One of the ways students tend to learn more is by through group what? Discussion. When you discuss with your classmates, your colleagues, your peers, you tend to understand better because you get from a student that knows better, and you can also share your own idea. What you know and shared is an evidence that you have it. So when you discuss, you also learn. And at the same time, a live academic coach is also coming around to inspire you, to talk to you, to encourage you so that you can be motivated, you can be able to do well. Thank you very much. God bless you. It's a pleasure being with you again today. Don't miss our
DEE Tutors, bringing learning to your doorstep.